Yo, welcome back to the Audio Theory Podcast. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button as well as the subscribe button. What's good, Danny? How have you been?
I've been good, dude. Great to see you. Good to be back on the pod. It's been, I think, almost 3 weeks. Little end of summer hiatus. My man was in Lisbon, multiple cities in Portugal. So kind of like give the people a rundown. I've been looking forward. I've been trying to ask you not that many questions offline to get like a true reaction, bro. So how was the trip with the wife?
The trip was dope. So yeah, you're correct. We were in Lisbon. Well, we were in Portugal for like 7 days in total, but we wanted to mix it up because I feel like regardless of what city it is, it's kind of it gets tiresome to be in the same spot doing the same shit like for a week straight, especially if you've never been and don't know if you're gonna enjoy it. So have you heard of Kesh?
Never heard of Kesh.
So it's like this. Do you know Sausalito in the Bay Area?
I do not.
Okay. Oh, well, it's kind of like a beachy town.
Okay.
Not in more of a formal sense. Like there's a beach there, but there's like a lot of shops and stuff around. It's not really meant for swimming in or anything like that. It's just like by the coast.
Okay.
So we stayed there in the middle of the week for a few days just to switch it up, which is really dope. I think by like the third day we were kind of tired of it in a sense of there's just like not a whole lot to do. You just eat at a nice seafood restaurant, kind of shop around, get a massage, whatever. We did that a couple times, but we were obviously there to like experience the culture and didn't want to be trapped there for too long. Didn't know what to expect, but regardless, had a great time there. But I would say the highlight for me at least was one of the beach clubs. Well, the hookah too. I mean, that's always a highlight. But that was definitely one of them. But I think it like the cultural highlight or whatever was the beach clubs we went to on our last day. It was raining in the middle of the week, which is when we were trying to go.
Got it.
We're like Friday sunny. We flew all the way over here. Like we shouldn't try to force it and like be drenched. So went Friday, and I think in that moment I just really realized like that was my like scene. Like it just my mood elevated immediately. I was like, fuck, I wish we had a couple more days and could do this again, like maybe show up at night when there's a DJ and everything. But overall it was dope. I would say two things though in terms of like the negative, or at least something we realized was one, 7 to 8 days is a long ass time, way longer time than I ever think when I'm booking vacation. And part of it's because like I'm so desperate to get the fuck away from work,
bro. But also, dude, it's taking you, bro. How long was that flight?
Oh, that was so that's the second of the two bad things. Is the flight's 11 hours. I know that for the folks on the East Coast, that shit's a breeze.
Yeah, but I feel like if you fly 11 hours, dog, you gotta be there for at least 6 or 7 days.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's definitely why I wasn't gonna be ungrateful.
Sure.
But I think just I forgot how fucking long 11 hours feels when you're trapped in this metal fucking can flying through the sky. And at that point, I was like, I don't know what we got to do, but we got to figure out a way if we do this shit again to do business class or some sort of comfortable upgrade. Cause I was losing my mind by like the 5th hour. Like I took like 3 naps, watched 4 movies, and I still had like 5 hours left. I'm like, fuck, like this shit is ridiculous.
Yeah. Those flights are long, bro. Yeah, that's why going from the West Coast to Europe is always like such a thing. I'm grateful that I'm on the East Coast, bro. Because I can be in London from Miami in like 6 hours. So like I get the appeal from the East Coast. But back to you though. Back to the beach day though. The beach club. So give the mood, bro. Was it like crowded? Like what kind of music is playing? What's the attire? Like what's the vibe?
The vibe was dope. I would say we went at like 1, which is an hour after it opens on a Friday. I imagine most people come there at night or on Saturdays because it was pretty empty.
Okay.
I would say there was maybe, I don't know, like, well, you can book like a bed outside, but we weren't trying to do all that. But you can, we were in the restaurant. It was maybe like 8 people. Several empty tables. We didn't have to make a reservation or anything. Nice. They were playing some like lo-fi, a mix of like lo-fi hip hop, but also a couple like smooth oldie tunes, some real low key, like slow tempo, I guess housey type music, just very serene and something you would expect of a beach club. Borderline. I know you just saw that the Channing Tatum movie. Was it Blink Twice?
Blink Twice, yeah.
Yeah, Borderline felt like that. I'm like, this shit is too calm. Like, I'm waiting for them to lock the doors and like chain us up or some shit. There was like a random disco ball outside with like above this wooden structure, and I was joking around. I'm like, they probably like sacrifice people there at like midnight or some shit.
Oh man,
it was just very chill and thankfully not overwhelming. Like when we were in Tulum a few years ago, I think it was the opposite. It was like the scenery was similar, but it was just packed with a bunch of like loud Americans.
Yeah, different vibes.
Completely. House music bumping hard as hell, and just like people harassing you to pay for shit. So it was definitely what I was hoping for.
Nice. So 7 days. So overall though, great trip. Good energy, but like 7 days just too much?
It was getting to that point. I think we were.
But do you think it was more so like because there was not much to do in Portugal in general? Could it have been a mixture of like, these are kind of the places where like when there's not much to do, it's better to have like 2 or 3 more couples too there as well? Or you have someone you're going to meet up with when you're there to kind of change up the pace?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with all those points. I think during the trip, we for sure had mentioned like, oh, it'd be dope if we had some friends to like go out to the bars. Cause
I've been in that spot too with Gina. It's like you go to this, not the same spot. You go somewhere new and it's fire. Like, dude, honestly, I felt that in Mallorca. They're like, oh, the first night it's amazing. The second night's cool, but then you're like, bro, like the third night's gonna be the same as the second night, and the fourth night's gonna be the same. So like at some point it'd be nice if like we knew someone here to kind of just like mix it up a little bit.
Right. And to your point, it's funny you mentioned Mallorca because we didn't have any complaints there, but then I realized it was because we had a wedding in Italy, and then Mallorca was literally 3 or 4 days. So by the time we didn't have a chance to get like sick of it per se. Whereas this, it was like, all right, like how many pasta dishes and glasses of wine can we possibly drink? And like this cobblestone shit everywhere, and it starts to like look the same, feel the same, and you kind of feel a little guilty because you're like, bro, like people would dream to fly to Europe or whatever.
Yeah,
and I'm over
100%.
here like, fuck, like this pasta's, not good enough for me or whatever.
No, dude, but I feel that, man. I've been in that situation too. And again, like I know those couples trips are always so much fun, and there's such like moments like you're making phenomenal memories. So again, I'm speaking from my own experience, not to speak for you. But then I know there's also moments where it's just like, all right, bro, we got nothing to talk about. We've seen everything together. I know what you're thinking when this person walks by with this weird accent, like, like, all right, bro, like I kind of get it. So like, I get what you're being like, because when we went to, once we left Mallorca, then we went to Ibiza. Ibiza was a nice balance of we had our own time, but then we also were at a wedding. So it kind of just distracts you. You have new conversations. Those conversations lead to, pillow talking with you and your woman when you get back home, blah, blah, blah. Like all those things matter. But when you just want to get the fuck away, you're like, bro, 7 days, fuck it, book it. You're like, you're not thinking about the nuances and shit.
Right. I think the only time, so like Hawaii was the few times we've done it for like a week long was helpful in the sense that we would do like work from home week or whatever. So during the week, we're distracted with that, and we don't have like all this idle time that we're trying to fill and make the most of. So by the time it's the end of the week, it's like, oh damn, we could use a few more days. But in this case, we weren't, or at least I wasn't working at all really. So
right. And you don't have a routine there besides get up and go drink, right? Whereas like before it'd be like, all right, let me get up, let me go work out, maybe go to the groceries, like you have like shit to do when you're off. Yeah. No, dude, it's like, but these are all first world problems, bro. Most people would love to drop a few grand, fly halfway around the world and be like, oh, those are some nice buildings. and then keep it moving. You know, like so.
Right.
Nice, dude. How were the hookah spots though? Were the hookah spots legit?
It was legit. Definitely overpriced, but I mean, oddly enough, it's kind of like my little personal bucket list type of thing where anytime hookah I go to a country, I'm like, what's the coolest looking hookah bar? Let me drag my wife there, have her complain for like 45 minutes, and then take some cool pictures.
Does she not partake?
Not, she'll puff a few, but like she's just not into it for whatever reason, I guess.
Got it.
A lot of people just don't get the little like buzz you get from it or whatever. I just like to chill out and the vibe and not get plastered with too many drinks sometimes. So
yeah, dude. Because I always feel like the hookah, especially out, bro, like it's such a like downer, but like in the best way of a downer. You know, like there's no crossfading, and if it is, it's so subtle that it just like enhances your buzz. But whereas like if you're smoking weed, drinking hookah, you're like the room is. You're like, bro, I can't do this anymore. So I'm glad you found a good hookah spot, man. So you went to Lisbon. What was the other place called? Kesh. That's it. Those two spots.
Yeah, those two spots. Yep.
Nice, man. Well, at least you made it back safe. I'm sure. Do you leave the cats with a watcher, or they're good for like 6-7 days alone?
Yeah. So our friend Andrew, who's in LA and visits often, we had him come up and he stayed for the full week. He works from home, so it kind of worked out, and flight's cheap. So yeah, he cat sat for us, and we didn't have to really worry about him the whole time.
Oh, beautiful, bro. Yeah, because we're going to Thailand, God willing, in December, and we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. And I know she's freaking out about like, well, I got to fly in my mom. And then I'm just like, dog, like, just leave some food out, bro. They'll figure it out. But I get it. 14 days is a lot. I know. I feel like the max is like 5 days, like them alone and like not worried about anything. But 14 days is a lot. So I hear that. But good to have you back, bro. Good to be back on the pod. Let's get into it. Episode 193. Bro, there's so much that's happened in the last 3 weeks, but also not that much in a weird way. But where do you want to start? You want to start with Kendrick, Diddy, the Weeknd new music?
Let's start with Diddy. I feel like that's just like the overwhelming topic right now.
Diddy. So Diddy's officially arrested. Diddy was denied bail. And he has to await trial in prison for all I don't even think I have a list of all the charges. Like it'd be forever to go through and read one by one. But yeah, man. So what news were you staying up to date with like over there?
I mean, while I was out there, a lot of the news that I was getting was just revolving around him going to being sentenced. And then on top of that, people speaking out and kind of mainly rappers and other public figures kind of defending him in a way by saying these freak offs or being freaky is not a crime. So it was like the combination of those two things. Like, does he really deserve to be sentenced for this in particular?
Yeah, and dude, I don't know if you heard the Flagrant episode, so shout out to them a couple weeks ago. And again, I'm not going to lead off this pod with, I hope this doesn't come across like defending him, so remove his name from it. But it seems that in the current sex trafficking, and I don't know if we're allowed to say that word, so I won't say it again, but in those current laws in America, that they've been kind of like expanded to include a lot of shit that shouldn't be included. And I think one of the examples was like, I think you could get accused of breaking that law. Like if you fly a female who you don't know out to see you. And I'm like, and I think Boozy made this comment. I feel like that's like a common thing in any space, right? So it's kind of weird that could be something that could put you away in jail for a very long time, when it just seems like this is like how celebrities who want to connect with someone who they don't know exchange a DM. There's a boarding pass waiting for you at your hotel, blah blah blah. Like some of those things, I can see how people are trying to say, like, I'm not saying he's not a weirdo, but some of these charges probably shouldn't be taking place.
Yeah, and to be honest, like most people, I didn't read the paperwork, and I don't know what, to be honest, exactly the claims that like Dr. Umar and some of these guys are saying, but from like the mini clips I've seen, they kind of didn't elaborate too much. But I do agree that if Diddy's like flying out escorts and just doing that, even though it's technically illegal and it's like consensual, I don't think like any rapper or him or any person should be charged as some like kingpin who has slaves, like sex toy slaves being flown out and shit. But I think where it maybe gets muddy is like if he's flying them out and then like paying them to do wild shit that's not consensual to other people and using intimidation tactics like once they land or something. That's where it might get muddy, because I'm sure like a huge chunk of rappers are DMing OnlyFans girls and flying them out for 5 racks and doing God knows what, but I think they're also not holding people hostage and drugging them and doing all this stuff.
Yeah, on some real like blink twice. Yeah. That's why the timing of that movie, side note, was so good, because like all this is like happening in real time in a crazy way. But dude, have you started seeing like these side conversations about like essentially like Justin Bieber's like victimness in all of this?
Yeah, but it's all been like unverifiable.
Correct.
Facebook pages.
Correct. It's just like clips, like on TikTok at least, of like different moments of awkwardness, and like they're trying to put this and this together. But when you just see them like alone, like you can see how like there could be some trauma there of like, I get we love him as a kid and he was like this cute whatever, but like he was also like 14, 15, and there's like real adults like grabbing him in a way and like saying things to him, and then you have this one interaction where like Diddy's like talking to him in a way that's almost like slightly intimidating. So like, yeah, like that part is a little bit disturbing, because like you start to wonder like, yes, we know that he's a talented individual, blah, blah, blah. But then like, was that used against him? And like he was promised things that made him do some wild, outlandish shit that he would never do under a normal circumstance. Like, I don't know, man, like I'm very intrigued about this case, because there's so many like layers to this that it's going to be the craziest documentary we ever, watch, bro, because these are fucking household names that we may find out were treated like nothing else than like an escort worker, because they were promised, the world or something. That's at least how it's being portrayed leading up to whenever this case actually takes place.
For sure. And I hope the truth comes out. And regarding the Justin Bieber thing, one video I saw, he was talking about like vaguely protecting Billie Eilish, and I think he was tearing up. And on one hand, it's like either he could be alluding to the fact that people just get abused financially, or end up in shitty deals and get abused or like verbally abused by fans and stuff. Like that could be one thing he's alluding to, or it could be as serious as to what you just mentioned, an executive saying, hey, if you perform these acts for me, I'll promise you a Grammy or this and that. And it's scary to think that is a possibility. Like there's so many versions of what abuse could look like in this case. And I just hope that if it was as traumatic as people are saying, then I hope the truth comes out and people can, hopefully avoid this shit if they do pursue a career in this industry and know like what to look out for.
And I think that's going to be the aftermath of this, bro. I think it's going to be a weird thing of like, not saying giving voice to the haters or something, but like, oh yeah, she had to do that, or he had to do that to get on. You know what I mean? Like almost like diminishing someone's career. So that's why, I'm very intrigued, bro, when like the lists start coming out and the videos start coming out and like someone's going to say something, right? It's going to be very interesting, bro, because I feel like these are going to be household monumental names that we're like, bro, what? Like, why would he do that? Right. But I think that's like the challenge of this, of like, we can never actually put ourselves in the shoes of the person who's being abused. So we don't know why they would do anything, right? Like we can go back to times in our life. It's like, bro, why the fuck did you do that? You're like, I don't fucking know. Like I just did it. Like one thing leads to the other. You might be, way in too deep or something. So, but yeah, man, it's gonna be very intriguing, bro. And to think that we went from the first week of the year with the whole Cat Williams thing to now October 1st or whenever you're hearing this, that in 10 months this dude's fucking life just completely house of cards and crumbled underneath him is, bro, unheard of, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's insane, and there's just too many. Another think negative side effect of this is all of the psycho conspiracy theorists who believe every goddamn thing when it comes to like the Illuminati and Hollywood and all this. This is gonna give merit to damn near any argument that people want to come up with, like. It could be as simple. Like I just saw I know we're gonna get to it, but the Weeknd and Carti video. There's a scene where there's like a hotel sign and it says hell on it. I guarantee there's gonna be like a 3-hour documentary about how they have sex slaves in their dungeon, and that's the Weeknd symbolizes like the end of the week, which is when the devil fucking gets summoned or some bullshit. So I just really hope that this doesn't get out of hand in terms of like the theories, because just because you're famous and rich doesn't mean you're Diddy. Like we can't just start calling people Diddy Juniors and accusing them of shit just because they made it.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think so? Fast forward to whenever this case is, do you think he ever steps foot outside of a prison cell, or you think he's done?
I think he steps outside of a prison cell. I don't know. He just seems too powerful and not having any full understanding of what this case in particular means in terms of like a sentencing. I don't know. I just don't know if there's enough evidence there to put him away for life, besides the Cassie thing, but I could be wrong. I mean, Bill Cosby got out, right?
Bill Cosby got out, but the way, again, not that we know that much, but the way that this one is being portrayed, it's almost like they have way more on Diddy than they had on Cosby, bro.
Got it.
But I could be wrong. Let me just Google real quick. Let's just see. Trafficking. I mean, he potentially faces a sentence of life if convicted on all charges.
Yeah.
But there's the trafficking one, racketeering, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, physical abuse. I don't know, bro.
I mean,
I don't know, bro. Only the way that it's being given to us, right? And I think this, I don't know if it's deliberate. I don't want to go down another conspiracy theory, but the way the information is coming to us, they're making it seem like this dude's never getting out. Like he's going down for something huge. Like, bro, like it's over, bro. Bad Boy, Sean John, like Diddy's empire is done, right? Because I don't know. I can't see a way that you get a federal charge like this.
I was going to say that after I thought about it.
Because I think most Fed cases, like they only do that if I think they have like a 90% conviction rate, I think it's or
98, something. Like 2% failure rate.
Bro, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I don't know. I don't see him getting out, which again is crazy, man. Like, again, I remember like, dude, 2 years ago or a year ago when he like, there was moments where we're like, bro, is that a little funny or something, right? Like, and then I think we'll probably at some point repost the Halloween thing that we spoke about last year when he was like bugging out in the Joker costume or some shit. Like, but still, to think that like this weird famous billionaire is now here it's just crazy, bro. And then what sucks about this is that when you get convicted of this wild shit, now everyone's brain starts going crazy about other wild shit we've been thinking that you have to like in our mind, you definitely did that shit, right? Like now, like everyone's thinking He definitely killed Tupac. He definitely killed Biggie. You know what I mean? There's no doubts, dog, you know? And it's just like, that had nothing to do with him. But again, this guy's being portrayed as like this fucking monster. And again, if these things are true that he's being accused of, then, you know, for sure. But I guess that's like the craziness of all this, man. Like it could be a couple wrong things that just started snowballing, and then dude, you look up 25 years later, like you may have different morals than what you came in with. And yeah, bro, it's just wild, bro, to think. I remember my first CD was that No Way Out CD, and I was a kid, you know, 8-year-old kid, like looking up to this person, and then his friend dies and you're like, oh man, dude, I'll be missing you, what a beautiful moment. And then fast forward 24 years later, you're like, yeah, this guy's apparently a scumbag. Like, you know, you can no longer be your hero. Like, it's just a very interesting thing. Again, also probably the importance of not putting your weight on someone's character who you do not know.
Right, exactly. And I think similar to you, like I had always respected and admired Diddy's success. And I think that began to change when, I don't know, there was like a turning point where like all the signs were there that he just wasn't the best person, like with the Chappelle skit, you know, making fun of the Making the Band and just how ridiculous he was, and people saying he's not paying them, and just how like reckless and egotistical he seemed to become. And I think people just never, I don't know, he just was off-putting in a lot of ways. But we gave him the benefit of the doubt, and we're just like, oh, he's just this cocky billionaire, and we only have so many black like leaders or icons in the space. So we kind of unfortunately have no choice but to give them the benefit of the doubt, because it's like if we get rid of him and Jay-Z and all these other people, like who do we really have to like represent the culture? And that's kind of a sad, unfortunate thing in America and that's the reason why, you know, a lot of people are kind of caping for him or want to cape for people like him in these situations, because it's like, fuck, we can't believe it, or don't want to believe it.
We don't want to believe it. I think we don't want to believe it, bro. There's no way the guy that we knew was like hustling as an intern at Motown Records, you know, came from nothing, is now this like terrible fucking, again, tycoon billionaire who, you know, drugs women and drugs men and does like, bro, it just sounds awful. You know what I mean? But again, there's obviously truth in those Chappelle skits, the same way there's truth in those Blink Twice type movies, right? Like, we can say these are people's imaginations and fiction plays a part, but bro, those things are also based on probably a lot of truths, you know? So yeah, dude, just crazy, man. Just crazy. Yeah, there's no way, you know, 10-year-old version of me would believe that guy who, like, again, seemingly was the man, bro, like recovered after his best friend died, gets with J-Lo, you know, I'm like, bro, this guy is like the GOAT, you know? And then like, just very, dude, honestly, I think I felt real love with him when he fucking like became like the face of Ciroc. Cause I just started drinking like in college, and I was like, oh, bro, if Diddy's drinking Ciroc, I'm drinking Ciroc, bro. And yeah, man, it's just, dude, time's a bitch, bro, because I think these things are just things like in the moment you can never tell, but then over time, like you said, the signs may have always been there. We just been like, didn't want to believe it.
For sure. I will say, I hope people also stop associating anyone who like smiled in a picture around him and saying, oh, they must have been in the freak offs and were definitely part of it and saw it. Because just because you were at a Diddy party, I find it hard to believe you know exactly everything that's going on in every fucking room, and especially a big ass party like that. We're not talking about a 10-person
it's at a mansion
intimate house party. And people like, you might be best friends with a serial killer, coworkers with one, and if they get caught, like all of a sudden, are you now an accomplice? Like, I just feel like people need to be a little more lenient with some of the celebrities that were around him. Obviously, some are around him more than others, but
right.
More than others. But I've seen people like accusing Tyrese of having been in the freak offs just because he's like, I went to a Diddy party and didn't see anything, and now all of a sudden that's suspicious. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, because think about like a wedding, bro. That there'll be parts of your own wedding and we know firsthand that things are happening 2 feet away from you and you have no idea about it, right? So imagine at a mansion party where clearly there's like a bunch of different rooms. Bro, my gut feeling, bro, is that like I do think some of the names that come out that were a part of it are going to be shocking, but it's not going to be every guest at these parties, right? I think there's going to be like that, I don't want to say elite, but like those 6 or 8 men that he trusted. Like, bro, like we're going to make some shit happen, but like only you know about this kind of a thing, right? I don't think like, oh, if you're in this section, all 100 of you are about to have some crazy shit go down. Like, I think it's a very like a limited crew that was in the know, but I do think those people who are in the know are going to be some wild names.
For sure. I definitely agree with that. It's crazy too, because I forget if I told you, but I had seen Diddy in person at like in America's Got Talent. I think it was session where like you can like apply to be a part of the audience or whatever for free.
No, okay.
And I vividly remember someone had this book about like Black excellence, but from the perspective of like a young boy or something. And he like handed it to Diddy, and Diddy was like just super excited about it, signed it. And in that moment, I'm like, oh shit, this is like the most humble, cool dude. Like maybe the ego isn't as inflated as I thought. And he's over here just going to town with all kinds of BBC escorts and shit. Like, I don't know, it's weird.
Oh, bro. Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is going to be very intriguing, bro. This entire court, like that case is going to be like, I think a lot of us got like, and I don't want to speak for you, but like, I think myself, like I got very confused because there was like just so many things happening with the Young Thug case that like, it was hard to like keep track, you know, like, is it about snitching? Like, what are we talking about here? Right. You know, like, cause like with this, bro, I feel like we're all so invested with Diddy from like our childhood that like we're every one of like whoever is like 26 or older is gonna be locked into this, bro. To be like, all right, man, like let's every day, like I need to know the updates, the TMZ, who's on the witness stand tomorrow, because bro, this is a huge part of our fucking childhood.
Yeah. And like I think with like Young Thug, it's just some hood shit. Like if 21 Savage gets life tomorrow for murder, like I don't think anyone's gonna be all that surprised. Or
yeah, you've been rapping about it for 8 years.
Right. Like, but Diddy like is the culture, whether we like it or not. So it almost feels like an indictment on hip hop. Like hip hop's in trouble. Like everyone's fucking up because he's one of the figureheads. So it's just insane when someone of that caliber is taken down. You know, like I feel like it's almost like my reality is unraveling and like nothing is real anymore. Like everything in this world has been a lie, and you know everyone in power is evil and can't be trusted. I don't like feeling like that.
Yeah, bro, but I think what the sad part is, it's like this is like the negativity of the internet that we just know too much. You know, like all this shit was going down before, types of shit like this, and we just didn't know. And there was like beauty in the like being fucking naive, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm gonna vote and my vote's gonna matter, right? Or like whatever. And now it's just like, bro, like when we get into the Kendrick, if we have time for that, like, you know, like I don't even want to make a comment on it because my comment, yes, is gonna be based on how I enjoyed or didn't enjoy the song, but it's also gonna be like what the algorithm is feeding me every day. And when I'm not seeing it on my feed, I'm assuming the song doesn't exist, it's not doing well, right? But like that's not accurate, right? So it's just like, but now we know it's this thing feeding me, right? Mm-hmm. But like in the past, like yes, that was happening, but we didn't know, right? We just think I pick up the New York Times, I'm picking up journalists who have only good intent, so the news, and now we're just like, well, this guy's biased. He's kind of tied with that person because this is kind of a thing, you know. So it's just like I kind of hate that we know so much. Again, it probably does help us open our eyes to like trends that don't make sense. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's also like a fucking, I think there was beauty in like, you know enough because you're old enough and you can kind of sense some sus shit. But now we're like, oh, bro, this is all fucked. And then I think that's like a very defeating feeling to what you kind of were alluding to, where you're like, bro, like, then what's real, dog? Like, why does any of this matter then?
Yeah, no, it's almost like a greater philosophical question. I always ask myself, I'm like, do I really want the truth? Is the truth always the best thing to have? Because in situations like this, you know, I mean, obviously I want him justice to be served regardless, like
right.
if it's on social media or not. But at the end of the day, there was a kind of a beauty in being naive to what's taking place, and just hoping that, you know, the universe will course correct and you know, can handle everything while we just enjoy the simple things in life.
Yeah. And honestly, this might be the universe course correcting now, right? I mean, maybe this is the karma he deserves for 25 years of fuck shit. Right? So we'll see. But again, we'll definitely give you guys updates on the case as we come to terms with it. But you did have a thing on the rundown talking about the streamers and kind of making like an LA versus Toronto war. We can kind of bring up also the Kendrick song. So I think the song was called "The Party Never Dies" or "The Party's Gonna Die," something like that, or
it was something along the lines of, I don't think there was an official name, but the one people were calling it was "Watch the Party Die."
Watch the Party Die. Black Air Forces that alludes to violence. No direct shots at Drake, but I don't know, man. Clearly, like in that direction. Is that fair?
I would say at least partially. I mean, it was kind of like almost a sequel, you could say, to the beef.
Yeah. Like a bad sequel though. So my thing was like, it just felt weird. Also, because like we just recorded that episode. I still stand by. I'm pretty sure you said this, but it might have been me. But like, the idea of him not making all this attention he's garnering from the Super Bowl about Drake immediately, at least, right? Like, own your shit, bro. Like, embrace this. Like, bro, you're gonna be the headline of Super Bowl. Like, regardless of why you got it, that is an epic moment to embrace. And it just felt like the first like marketing L he took, or chess move L that he took, because I feel like all his chess moves have proven to be genius, right? And again, maybe this one proves to be genius too, but I know we're almost like 3 weeks removed from the song, and it just, again, in my algorithm, in my safe space, that the song didn't really do anything, and I haven't heard enough people who I talk to bring it up enough that I'm like even feeling the need to go check for it. So it just felt odd that, like, again, at a peak moment for yourself, that you decided, hey, let me just drop a version of a diss track, but not really a diss track.
I mean, for me, I don't think it was a direct Drake diss, and I only say that because I think a lot of people, and this is probably showcases the negative side of the algorithm and the clickbait trend that, you know, every content creator is abiding by, but a lot of people are portraying it as, oh, Kendrick wants round 2 even though he already won, and this and that. Clearly Kendrick's not afraid of calling Drake out directly, and to me it felt like he has a bigger mission than, you know, just making Drake cry. I think he is trying to address the industry, just everything, like from the bad media outtakes, you know, whether it's academics or whoever else contributing to whatever, you know, we want to paint as like a negative culture. Just the kind of approach that Drake has in general, not per se Drake himself, but I guess any commercial artist who's like willing to sacrifice, you know, the art or integrity just, you know, to make money and get streams. So at least for me, I felt like he wasn't really trying to make any waves with this, whether it's streaming or, you know, delivering another L to Drake or having like a smash hit. It felt like kind of like a Heart Part 6 if Drake never released that in the first place, none of which I think anyone has, you know, replayed ever gone back to. It's replayable. I for sure haven't revisited this song, and
I think you said a good thing too when we were texting. It's more like a therapy, just like a therapy tweet. Like, yeah.
That's how I interpret it. Was like, this is his version of tweeting. I don't think I think Kendrick probably finds it kind of cringeworthy to just type, 100 characters on Twitter and just kind of rant about some shit. And I think this is just how he expresses himself. And it wasn't something he necessarily wanted to make, melodic or replayable. But again, the internet's trained to, especially coming off of this beef, which had a lot of great songs, the mindset was, oh, is this a banger, or is this cutting deep again, or any of that? And I think, we took it from level to 100 down to like 8, and like he fell off or whatever. So I think that it was just that disconnect, is he was trying to do something completely different with this song.
Yeah. But do you feel like we needed a song at that moment, like a this type of song at that moment?
Personally, no, just because I feel like he kind of already made that statement with all of the Drake disses. I think Drake represents the party that he's trying to end. So for me, at least, it's like I kind of already knew you were calling for a pivot in the culture, or whatever you want to say. Like, he kind of addressed it in 616, right? Like, academics compromise, like all this shit. So I'm like, did we really need it? Probably not.
Yeah. I think that was it. I mean, dude, I don't think anyone's gonna ever just jump on a in front of anyone and say that he's not good at making whatever he like. I feel like whatever he wants to make is gonna be exactly how he wants to make it, right? So I think in the version of that song in his head sounded exactly how he wanted it to sound. I just think it's like maybe the wrong time, right? Like, again, it just didn't go with the idea of like Super Bowl, get excited, type shit, like. I mean, again, I don't know. Maybe it's because like Not Like Us is such an upbeat song, regardless of the content, that like nothing will really match that. So maybe bring them down to bring them back up later. I don't know. But just from like a musical standpoint, it just like didn't make sense for me. But again, he only released it on IG. Like you said, it might have just felt like a tweet to him. But what did you want to bring up as far as the streamers playing a part? Is this like Aiden Ross type shit, or academics like involvement?
Yeah, I'd say mostly Aiden Ross, and I know there's like another white YouTuber by the name of What's the Dirt, who kind of he's been more so theorizing about the beef and like what lyrics mean and stuff. But in general, it seems like a lot of white content creators are getting flack for instigating the beef and proposing theories that might not be true at all and just be stirring unnecessary controversy. So I think the discussion really is like, should they even be involved and have a space to be talking about a beef that could potentially get violent, not necessarily between the two artists, but like people around them? Because at the end of the day, black or white, like no one I think will celebrate the idea of instigating beef. But I think it looks particularly problematic when, like a white suburban kid in the comfort of his home is either instigating or proposing theories about like black art and culture and perception that just make absolutely no sense and only offend people. But I think from their standpoint, they're just participating in art that they love and giving their opinion. So
like us,
I thought it was interesting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's tough though, man, because I think that's the issue when these specific whoever, right, artists, whatever field you're in, is also highly popular, that whatever they say just has a different kind of weight, right? Like you and I jump on a pod, shit on LA goons or Toronto goons, like they don't give a fuck, right? Because like, dude, maybe 100 people see it, maybe 1,000 in a good week or something, right? Like in the bigger context of the algorithm, like who gives a fuck, right? But if it's 300,000 people on a random ass Tuesday, then it's a different conversation, right? So I think it's just the fine balance of like knowing your audience, but then also what are you really how much are you willing to risk to garner more of an audience, right? Because I think the Aiden Ross stuff, bro, it's like a little dangerous because like you're speaking very braggadocious as if like you can't get touched. And that's the part where I think is a little alarming, right? Like, to act tough, again, I have no doubt you have bodyguards, security. You may be well connected on your own right with certain rappers or athletes you hang around, blah, blah, blah. But seems a little reckless for what it seems like, just to have more people tune in to see if he's really about that life. So it just seems a little dangerous.
Yeah, definitely dangerous for anyone to do. But I think there is this, unfortunately, with a lot of these, not necessarily white, but even just like non-black streamers or content creators, but particularly white, is there's like this air of confidence in the sense that, like, oh, I'm white, and you know what happens to black people or minorities who do stuff to white people, you know, it's gonna be 10 times worse, and my dad's lawyer and this and that, and using that privilege to as like a shield to say wild shit and provoke. And I think this was a representation of that in a way. I mean, Adin Ross has since apologized. Someone must have gotten
I saw that.
Said, like,
I saw that.
If you mess with LA, like, they're for sure gonna do something to you, and you have to be in LA. That's the thing, is if you're in this industry, like, you can't just gloss over LA. Like, that's the hub. So, and politics, I mean, I'm from LA, but like obviously not involved in gang politics or anything like that, but very clearly it's a dangerous place where, for whatever reason, I feel like the gang politics are so like interwoven with the high end places, even that high end places that you might hang out at. Like, it could be a security guard that's a banger, or just simply, you know, the drug dealer who likes to eat at Nobu or some shit. So I think that's where things got interesting, and Adin Ross was like, I don't want to actually die. I just want to make money and get a few extra clicks. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think white content creators need to just be very careful about that fine line between clout and actually standing by what you say, because, you know, people of color are going to take it very black people in particular are going to take it very differently when you say certain things about a certain hood, or even have a theory as crazy as the other guy mentioning that he said Drake mentioned the N-word 37 times or something to symbolize how many years he's been alive as a black man, to like prove his blackness. And obviously no way to like substantiate that claim, but a lot of people were rightfully kind of offended. Like, that's the corniest shit you could have ever said. Which is a less aggressive example versus Adin Ross. But yeah, I just think it's interesting how a lot of people are getting kind of clout off of this beef and look nothing like Drake or Kendrick.
Yeah. And it's in a weird way also, like, those two, Kendrick and Drake, I mean, again, not that they're not talking about it, but it's not even like they're giving them new content, right? Like, they're just doing deep dives on like not old shit, but like songs from 4 months ago, just to kind of keep that conversation going. But yeah, again, I don't know, man. It's tough because I feel like we're in a catch-22 because we're also the content creation business, right? And we know we put a thumbnail that has the right balance of, you know, craziness, but also one of their faces is going to get clicks. So yeah, but again, it just seems a little bit wild when they're calling people out and, you know, saying, hey, I'll be here and you're not going to do anything about it. It's like, I don't know, bro. Like, again, I don't know. I don't get especially when they're like, they're not broke, right? So it's like Adin Ross, like, you're a millionaire streamer. Like, why are you trying to risk your life over something that has nothing to do with you? That's like the confusing part.
Yeah. And I mean, he has seemingly a personal relationship with Drake.
He was actually at the show that I went to for the It's a Blurred Story. Yeah, he came. He was in Miami. Yeah,
dope. But at the same time, like, it's fine if you don't like Kendrick or the Not Like Us song and you think it's overrated or whatever. But to like diss an entire city, like, it's really not that deep. Like, first of all, you're not even from fucking Canada, and second of all, I'm sure Drake cares less than you do. At least, like, isn't willing to crash out over this shit. So why are you doing it? And it's clearly just because he wants to to prove something and
Yeah.
has an ego. And it's weird how you can allegedly, like, academics said he has like as much as 9 figures, and that's like why he's invited to the white party and shit. So if you have that level of money, like, you should be acting your wage, and unfortunately he's acting his age.
Yeah, but I think he also has like the ego's also there, because I think like there's also this thing of him where he's like a mark, right? With like the whole Playboi Carti thing, like
yeah.
You know, and the 21 Savage thing, right? When you're getting caught on camera being played by like the guys in the industry, I think there's also like something in him that maybe also wants to like redeem himself at every passing opportunity. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of that like is in his like mindset, like with these decisions that he's making that just don't make sense to me.
Yeah, but I do see a lot of white streamers, as well as Neon, who I think he's actually Indian, but literally all of them have the same formula. They go live and they just like threaten people and have their big ass security guard like punch people, shove people. And I think it's just literally because it gets so many clicks and generates so much revenue. Like it's the go-to approach. Like, oh, slow week, let me threaten this person, go to this city, like the Tekashi 6ix9ine kind of approach. Except I think since they don't claim to be gangsters,
it's just that much weirder.
It's that much weirder, and like gangsters probably aren't gonna go to any length to actually do something as much, because they're like, oh, he's a mark, like he's a fucking little bitch, he's not gonna do shit. But if it's like 6ix9ine, you're claiming a real gang, like I think that's when they take it more seriously, because they'll get stripes from that.
Yeah, for sure. Curious to see if this keeps it going in that direction. But thank you for bringing that up. Should we do like a quick on like the music that's come out recently since we've been gone?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So your thoughts on, since we've not been on the pod the past couple of weeks. So we got a Tommy Richman album, Coyote. We have a Weeknd and Carti collab, Timeless, a Timeless remix. And we also got Carti drop the song, was it All Red?
Yep.
All right. So where do you want to start with those 3 songs?
Let's start with Tommy Richman.
All right, bro. So Tommy Richman, 11 tracks, 37 minutes. Man, it's funny. So I'll give you guys some insight. Offline, I heard this song a couple days ago and I texted Blair. I'm like, bro, I don't know what to think about this. And then I gave like another listen like 3 hours later, bro. And I was like, I get it now. I get it. Bro, very entertaining. Like, I honestly, I can't wait till like Solection and those DJs get their hands on this, because they're going to have a field day with this, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like his voice, there's going to be certain songs where you remove the like instruments and like the beat and then played over like maybe some like Sade shit or something. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, he does a really good job messing with his voice in a way. And I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'll refrain from any like TikTok references. But yeah, like I just love that this feels very much like a soulful album that I think needs to be listened to in that setting. Whereas like I fucked up and just listened to it at the gym and I'm trying to get like reps in, and it's just like, bro, this is like what's happening here, you know? But when I was in my backyard or my garage just vibing, a spritz in my hand, it was very much like a get up and like move your feet kind of a thing. So I really enjoyed it. How about you?
I really enjoyed it as well. In terms of the setting, I was just in my apartment. It was the morning. I didn't have a whole lot to do. So I think that's why I was able to kind of digest the album. I'd say things I really appreciate about it was the length. No Diddy. Perfect amount of songs. Like I really hate the bloated albums that a lot of artists will typically create. Clearly like a streaming tactic, but kept it short. It seemed like the production was different on every song, which is surprising to me, because I feel like a lot of artists, once they break out, they're like, let me recreate the 1 or 2 hits like 15 times and hopefully people will love me. But he clearly was doing what he wanted to do artistically. I like that you mentioned the Solection thing, because throughout the whole album I'm like, damn, this album was so like remixable or like sample worthy, like, and I like vaporwave and all kinds of like lo-fi songs, and I feel like just the vibe is very easy to make, soulful, stuff like that, especially like 80s influence stuff. So overall it was fun. I'm particularly glad that he seems like he's not trying to fall into the TikTok trap of, recreating the success he had there. Interestingly enough, I know we talked about it, but he didn't have the 2 singles on there, which is kind of odd. Figured those would at least be on there, but again, maybe it's because he really wants to carve a lane for himself that isn't just, a one-hit wonder or 2-hit wonder. So yeah, overall, I think it's great. It's refreshing, change of pace from all the, lackluster pop and hip hop that's out. So happy for him.
Yeah, super happy for him. I think a couple of times you used the phrase. So I think what drove this album for me home and about him, honestly, was I think there was a lot of artistry here that I wasn't expecting. I mean, again, $1 Million Baby and Devil Is a Lie. I think that's the same second song.
Yeah.
But like those songs, clearly there's like, it takes skill, but those could easily be put in that TikTok. You were looking for a hit, so you kind of went extreme, blah, blah, blah. Dude, again, I feel like him removing or not having those songs on this album was a sign that he didn't want to do that. I think those songs ended up just being TikTok successes because they're just bangers. I mean, clearly they maybe weren't intentional, who knows? But now that we're getting more music from him, it just feels like he's trying to make it very clear, like, bro, like I'm an artist, right? And like my things may be trendy, but that's because I'm trendy, right? Like, and I'm on this new wave that you guys should kind of like jump on. But, and I also like, I mean, in a bigger scheme of things, like the streaming stuff we spoke about, like I kind of like he didn't include those 2 songs because if he did, I do think that means the album like automatically like goes platinum or some shit because those 2 songs are so, those numbers are so inflated. So like, I like that we can now judge this body of work by itself, right? As opposed to like, oh, he sold 450,000 copies, but 425,000 was $1 Million Baby or some shit, So, yeah, I like that. Again, I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that he only had 11 songs and not 25. Like, again, I think this is, again, especially because when you see him for the first time, you don't know what to really expect. But I think everything encompassing, I think he's really trying to carve out his own lane as like an artist and not just that guy from TikTok that got really famous in like the spring of 2024.
Yeah, no, I think it's really dope that he seemingly doesn't care about the numbers and accolades all that much. And I got that sense too that, maybe he just wants a true sense of how this album performs rather than having the 2 singles just completely inflate the numbers and have him second guess, his art or his approach to music. So yeah, salute to him. I think he's gonna be one of the few artists that remain out of this like TikTok vacuum of artists. So I'm looking forward to hearing him do more music, but also collaborate with more artists who I guess are actively popular. Yeah, in that lane, who can do maybe adapt to his sound and vice versa. Like it'd be interesting to hear his voice on, I don't know, like a Kanye track or something, but also name anybody like Drake try to do something on a song like that is more soulful or like 80s sounding. So
I think he's very much trying to be in that lane with artists who like also aren't that famous, right? Because I think the Brett Fayez or Faizen, I always
Brett Fayez.
Yeah, like obviously he's famous, he's famous, but he's not like the mall shuts down famous. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think he's also in that lane of like an artist who's trying to be different, even though he has such popular songs. So I see why those kind of collabs kind of work right now because, yeah, he's like of a certain level, but he's also trying to keep it at a certain level and not get, fucking super inflated.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. There's actually a rapper called Trevor Spitta, who he might have been one of my Heat of the Weeks.
He definitely was.
Ago.
Yeah.
But he's real heavy on TikTok in terms of like promotion and stuff. So it's crazy to see him on there because prior to listening to the album, I was listening to some Trevor Spitta music, and I was like, this kind of reminds me of Tommy Richman's style. And then lo and behold, they collaborated. So clearly he's, doing what you're suggesting, which is working with artists of like a similar sound.
But you know what's interesting? There was a couple times when like Tommy Richman like was more rapping than like trying to hit the singing notes. That bro, he sounded like Rich Brian to me. Or
oh, for real?
Yeah. Dude, a couple songs I was like, bro, is that him? And it was like, nah. But yeah.
Sounded like Jack Harlow to me at sometimes too.
Yeah, I can see that. I think because it's like he does change his voice levels a lot. Like on the like different. I feel like those 11 songs, you have a different version of it, which again, good for him, right? So when it works, good for him.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. So then before we get out of here, then also, what was your thoughts on the Timeless remix Weeknd and Carti, including the video?
I loved it. I loved the song. I loved the video. Loved Carti's verse, and didn't really have like any complaints. I think what I appreciated about it is even though it's like kind of a trap beat, it has this like almost techno, like synth thing going for it. And I've already told you this, but for me at least, this is the version of the Weeknd I like. I think similar to Drake, there's like 5 versions. You got like the 80s version, the dark emo, the trap, I'm a piece of shit, like lady killer type version of Weeknd, whatever you want to call it. And I'm a fan of this version. Like I'm not too big on his more popular cuts that like everyone around the world is streaming, but this to me was just a nice bop that wasn't just like everything else that has been coming out recently. So I appreciated it. Hopefully his album sounds like this.
The Weeknd?
Yeah, I doubt it will, but hopefully it does.
Yeah, we'll see. My thing with the Weeknd, man, I told Blair this offline, but again, I don't dislike the song. I haven't listened to the song enough to truly, because when it's like just that one single, right? Like you have to listen to that song multiple times to truly understand like what's trying to happen. Whereas with an album, like the vibe of multiple songs in a row kind of give you a quicker response. Ironically enough, that the one song takes longer. But I mean, I thought Playboi sounded cool. Like Carti sounded cool. Like it was cool to hear him rap, right? It's funny because a moment I was like, oh, like so when he's just rapping, he's just like Travis or Future, right? Like I think he needs like the weird shit because otherwise you kind of sound like the other two guys who always use auto-tune, right? So that was definitely a thought that that crept through. But with the Weeknd, man, I don't know, man. Like there's like with him. Similar to your point, similar to Drake, there are like 5 different versions of him, right? But unlike Drake, I'm not vested from day one with the Weeknd, right? Where you kind of see those different sounds evolve and you evolve with it. And like, if you loved him from the beginning, you're going to love him now, right? I wasn't a part of it from like, what was that album? I think we spoke about on the pod once.
Like
that
House of Balloons?
Yeah, but I wasn't around for that shit. Like I was late to his party. So like there was a couple of songs that grabbed my attention. But dude, I remember like in 2016 he had that song If the Hills Had Eyes or something. Remember that?
The Hills?
Was it The Hills? Maybe the lyrics alluded to that.
Yeah, it was called The Hills. I Only Love You When It's 5:30. That one?
Yeah. Like, dude, that shit did nothing for me, right? And like, I have people around me losing their minds to this music, and I'm just like, all right, bro. So I think just for me personally, again, I don't want people to think this is like strictly because like Drake doesn't like him and I love Drake, so I can't fuck with it's not that. I've always been indifferent to him. So like, I think it just takes me longer to like truly understand what he's trying to do. Cause like, again, even the video, which is fire, bro. And the visuals are sick and the girls are all bad as fuck. But like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't believe him. There is something about him that like, I don't believe visually, maybe. So like to think like this is the same guy pulling down Bella Hadid and all these things, and I don't know, bro. Like it's just like the overall ensemble is just like I don't get it. So that's kind of like how I was left with this song. Like it's like all right, bro, it's not bad. I enjoyed the beat a lot. but I'm gonna have to listen to it a few more times over. So for me right now, it's like an incomplete because like I'm not gonna say it's trash, but I would never say any of his music is trash. It's just like I just don't get it. You know, like I just again maybe because again if is similar to Drake, but I was at the beginning of the Drake come up, so like that made more sense to me. Whereas like this was just like always the other guy. Like, even when we had that stretch where we interviewed like those Canadian guys on the pod, like when they would talk about him, like I don't know, even they didn't seem that enamored. I don't want to speak for them, but like it's like the Weeknd kind of a thing. Like his art. I'm like I don't know. I was never inspired enough to truly be that vested. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Is it like primarily his image and like his voice, or is it like the music, like the beat selection and like song content isn't just never hit?
I think all of it, bro. Like I love Heartless, right? That was the Metro Boomin one, right?
Yeah,
that one was epic, right? That one was epic. And I even bought concert tickets for that one, bro. But everything else, man, I was just like, yeah, I think it's all of it, bro. It's appearance, beat selection, songs where he's singing, and I'm like, bro, this would be so much better if a rapper was on it. You know, like, I don't know, just like all of that, bro. And again, that's been a consistent thing. So that's why when I went to listen to like House of Balloons, I was like, bro, if I listen to this, maybe I'll understand it. And then almost like with the Days Before Rodeo with Travis, I'm like, this is what people got excited about? Like, again, obviously I proved to be wrong and like they proved to be right because these are two of the biggest artists in the world. But yeah, I don't get it. And again, I know I'm in the minority for that because obviously the Weeknd's a massive artist.
I would say the funny thing is this applies to both Carti and him, but I think his best, and I don't even think this was really intentional or he didn't know this was going to work in his favor, but I think the mystique around him of like not really doing interviews and just coming across as like this, like, I don't know, drug addicted emo dude who like gets girls but is also like in his feelings and like depressed as fuck. I think that worked in his favor. Just that dark emo R&B that wasn't like too lovey-dovey. It was like almost like the dark toxic side of love.
Yeah.
And I think when he really peaked and took off was when he started leaning into like 80s influence shit and like kind of replicating Michael Jackson formula in a way.
Bruno Mars, yeah. Like you get a hold of that sound and like people are just so like the nostalgia of it with a new flair. Everyone's like, oh, it's amazing. It's like,
Yeah. But because I noticed you mentioned like his image. You also mentioned that about G-Eazy, but I find it interesting because I think one of the biggest critiques of Drake is that he's like this nerdy Toronto kid who somehow like has been given a pass with being like this pseudo mobster or whatever. So for you, is it simply that like his music's just so great it's kind of like overshadows any previous imagery he might have had, like whether it's, I don't know, the nerdy pictures people always bring up or like interviews where he comes across as more soft than he really is or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's just being there from like essentially like the ground up. You know what I mean? Like I think that's like it just, when it's like your favorite kid or something, like, yeah, dude, like he was the first, right? So you were just like, you're always going to look at them a little bit different compared to the other ones that come after. So I think that's what it is for me personally. It's just like, dude, I remember being in my apartment junior year, listening to So Far Gone and like studying for an exam and like having to pause and like, bro, what am I listening to? This is crazy, like, so like that immersiveness from the beginning. Whatever happens after, bro, you're gonna keep giving people you fuck with a pass, right? Like you're not trying to see the red flags, you're not trying to hear about this bullshit. Like you don't know what Houston, Atlanta, Vegas did for me as a 20-year-old, bro. So like I don't have time for you to fucking hate on my guys. So like I think it's that, bro. And again, because the Weeknd is similar enough that like maybe there's like a subconscious part of me that I'm like, bro, like I already have this. Like and I have the version I'm invested in from the jump. So like, it feels like this movie's already going, you know, and it's like, I don't want to be caught up because it just takes too much work. And I tried to get caught up and it's just like, I don't get it. You know, it's like what are the subtitles? Like, what's the Sparks notes? Like, convince me why I should get it. And I just like, I know, and I feel like it's been enough years now, especially like with the dry spell we've had like in the last 3 years, where I've actually had time to take a deep dive in this shit. And I just been like, like, bro, even like, but again, I will never say it's bad, right? I remember you and I talking about Dawn FM. And like, dude, I said it was a very creative approach to putting an album together. But bro, I never went back and was like, oh, bro, let me listen to Dawn FM again. Like, that's never happened, you know? And I just don't get it. Like, I just don't get the logic behind some of those themes he goes for.
I get that. Yeah, for me, he's definitely hit or miss, similar to Drake in a lot of ways, even in that sense, because there's versions of Drake that like I can't stand. Like Marvin's Room, never got into it, but I imagine if someone was going through that shit, like that would be God's greatest gift to the fucking planet. But for me, when I hear it, I'm like, it sounds like a queef, like recorded on a fucking song. But maybe that's the case for Weeknd. Like some people might have been so into House of Balloons for whatever reason, and then saw him evolve, and now they're just happy to see him still active doing shit.
Correct.
Could be that. But yeah, to me, I think he kind of is. He's just kind of like an R&B version of, but does like similar content to what a lot of rappers do. So maybe people gravitate towards that because it's like I can still get my R&B fix, but not have it be like some soft, overly lovey-dovey stuff. It's like almost Future singing lyrics, but like Michael Jackson.
I was gonna say that, bro. It does feel Future-esque, but even with him, bro, what do we keep saying? Like, yeah, I'll take a couple songs here and there and keep it moving, bro. So like, same thing, man. Like, love Future, and dude, shout out to him that I think the Plutoski mixtape went -- phenomenal. Good for him, bro. That album did nothing for me. Like, nothing for me. And yeah, so I there are a lot of similarities between Future and The Weeknd. But again, I think also, bro, I only really got on the Future wave around Dirty Sprite 2. So right, there's like 8 years of content before that again, if you were at the ground level and you see what Future was in those like early freestyle videos or him in the studio to what he is now, bro, you must be like a fan, like, again, seeing your son fucking get a PhD and become like the #1 neurosurgeon in the world or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's like a beauty. But like, if you really only saw him at his somewhat peak and you're trying to catch on and try to figure out what the fuck's going on here, like, I don't think I feel like most people would be in my boat. Like, if you kind of caught on late, it's kind of confusing to truly understand the appeal.
Yeah, that's true. I experienced something opposite with Travis Scott. Like, I was late to the game and then became damn near a super fan. But I could see how with certain artists, like if you're not already into their unique sound, because if we're being honest, Travis is very similar to a lot of what's out and what we already like. But The Weeknd seems to be more of an acquired taste.
Yeah.
So I think that it's trickier with certain artists for sure. Like Tyler, the Creator, I guarantee if you didn't fuck with them before, you're gonna have to basically force yourself to sit down and like understand what his approach is. Otherwise, you're not gonna like this shit
at all. Yeah, 100%, bro. Yeah, and I think that's okay, right? I think it's just as long as you respect that fine line of like, you're not putting it down, but making it very clear that it's not your cup of tea. And with The Weeknd, it's just like, dude, again, it's not the Drake thing. It's really just like, I felt this way a long time, and then maybe the Drake thing just highlighted it for me. I'm like, do gay people like who likes this music? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, who is this for, bro?
I feel like it's just random different audiences pick and choosing the version of him they like, and then the poor audience from way back when who just loves it all.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And then the parts of Canada who just ride or die for him. But yeah, shout out to him. Thoughts on, before we get into Heat of the Week and get out of here, All the Red. Thoughts on that Carti music or Carti song?
Honestly, I thought it was pretty good. I don't think I'm gonna be revisiting this song all that much, but at the same time, I'm like, this literally sounds like Future. Like, you can't tell me that Future didn't fucking record it. So that was my only critique, and the kind of critique of Playboi in general is like, who are you? Like, I don't even know if you're actually making these songs because you're 18 different voices.
That was honestly, so All the Red was fine. Like, it was fine. Didn't add it to a playlist, but definitely heard it was like, oh, this is like a decent hip hop song. That was honestly like my confusion with Timeless. I was like, bro, but you just sound like Future. So like, I only recognize it's you when you do that like weird shit with your voice. Yeah. So like, now when you're going, now when you're trying to come back to us in a rapping way, I'm like, I think because his overall aura, right, is so appealing right now that everyone's just like enamored with him. So it's working, right? But in a weird way, like, dude, we liked you for this during Magnolia, right? And that time you had with like ASAP and Uzi, and then you fucking went satanic, and then now you're like in this in between back and forth. So like, yeah, again, dude, whatever he's doing is working for him, right? Because this is probably the highest his stock has been, and since the Magnolia days. Maybe I'm bugging. Again, I'm not close enough to Carti's situation, but it feels like this is the most front and center. I mean, think about like the songs that he had with Future and Metro and Travis earlier in the year, the features with Ye and Ty Dolla, like the Camila Cabello shit. Now the Weeknd's his lead single to his albums with Carti. Like, again, this is all projecting upwards for him, but yeah, it just feels weird because it's like, all right, so are we not going to be the weird guy anymore? Are you just like, am I meant to judge you as a rapper or as like this niche, odd sound? Because like, again, on Timeless, for the most part, I would say that was like a normal rap song, and like 10% of like the odd shit, which again, maybe that's why it worked so well for a lot of people, but. Yeah, because dude, I'm glad you brought that because he sounded just like Future or Travis Scott. I know a lot of people say Travis and Future sound pretty similar as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the appeal for him, and I'm just speaking for the fan base, if I had to assume, is that he's just so unpredictable. Like, you don't know when he's gonna drop, what he's gonna drop, who's gonna feature him, who he's gonna feature, what he's gonna sound like. And
if he says anything at all, right? Because even that song with The Weeknd and Madonna, he has like a 5-second verse. Yeah, well,
some random alien language, who he's gonna rob on the stream. Like, you just don't know. It's like, it's almost like a character in a video game or like a cartoon. Like, you're just like, what's he gonna do next? We don't know, but we're gonna love it and it's gonna sound good. And I think I would imagine people view that as extreme talent, like just being able to sound, even if you sound like that guy over there, it's still hard to mid-song change it up.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, in that song, that's actually one of my favorite parts, is when he goes from like the Future voice to the like Trap Elmo or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I know it sounds like everybody, but shit, could I do that? I don't know.
Correct. So, yeah. No, good. Yeah. I think he's, I think we mentioned earlier, bro, I think he's on pace to be MVP of 2024. So if we get an album or if more features like this come out, I think it's only going to confirm that. So yeah, shout out to him. You guys go listen to that. Give us your opinion in the comment section. But before we get out of here, it's been a couple weeks, so we got to do Heat of the Week episode 193. I'll go first for my Heat of the Week because I'm intrigued to what did it for you while you were traveling. But for me, it's going to be Give It All. Is it here? Yes. Give It All by Tommy Richman on his Coyote album. Bro, such a fun vibe. I mean, bro, this would be one at a lounge where I feel like if you had the hookah, you would just stand up and just like kind of start bopping, but nothing too aggressive because it's so chilled. But like, bro, it's so good. You have to dance, right? Like your body, you cannot just stand still right there. So yeah, man, it was just a fun 80s type fucking song that like, that's probably the one song on that album that I've repeated multiple times and thoroughly enjoyed every single time.
Nice. Definitely like that one. Yeah, and I like the album a lot too because I added several songs from the playlist, but to like different ones. So I'm like, if this is something I'm vibing out to by myself, zoning out, I'm gonna listen to this one. But if I'm at like the pool and I want something more upbeat like that, whatever, then I'm gonna have it for that playlist. So it was cool to get that balance.
How about you? What was your heat of the week?
As much as I like Timeless, it wasn't released till like the end of the trip, and I'd prefer to showcase some newer music. So my brother had sent me a song by this artist we're both familiar with. His name is Jahkoy, Jahkoy. The song is called Crocs. He's an R&B artist. I only knew a few handful of songs of him prior to this, but it was definitely more like R&B-ish, like kind of slower. Love is like the content of the song, but this one's more of like fly, more hip-hoppy.
Is it Crocs or White Crocs?
Crocs, Corcs, just alone, and Jahkoy.
Got it. I got it. Yeah.
This one I would say is a banger. Something that you could play at the gym, if you're in the car, like whatever environment. Just kind of like a swaggy, talk your shit type of song. And yeah, it was a nice something I bumped multiple times throughout the trip.
Nice.
So definitely recommend checking.
There's like a million versions on my fucking phone. Send me the one that you have.
Yep, we'll do.
Yeah, because I was thinking about the one. So Jordan Ward has a song called White Crocs. Have you heard that?
Nope.
All right, I'll send you that one.
Word.
Because that one is a banger too. But I definitely want to hear yours. Jahkoy. I don't know why it didn't pop up. All right, but yeah, send me that. I'll definitely I'll peep that. Was there ever like a moment that you heard like some like wild shit that just threw you off when you were in Portugal?
Like at bars, like out and about and stuff?
Yeah, just like, why is this on right now? Like, why am I listening to this in Portugal?
Shit. I could have sworn there was one moment where I was like, what the fuck? Before I get to that, I will say they played that one song like 5 times in different locations that you sent me. It was that Spanish song. It was in Spanish, but it was, fuck, what was it? I think it started with a B. It was, I'm going to lose my mind if I don't tell you it right now.
Was it like a Bad Bunny song or?
No, it was like kind of an obscure artist, at least to me. And it was like the way it goes is like, and they're like,
oh, Beso?
See. Yeah, Beso.
Yeah.
They play that song like at 5 different locations.
Yeah. Because that's the perfect mixture of like historical, like phenomenal pop Spanish music and like true house music. So like that combination is just insane. Like it's a fucking cheat code. Like it's like what Post Malone was when he first came out. It's like, bro, like obviously this is a hit. Like whatever he's doing, it's like gonna work. So yeah. That song is ridiculous. I
don't know. The only thing I'll let you know if I think of the song that I really want to mention that I'm thinking of, but I did think it was weird that, so we went to this like Instagram-y cafe. It's like 9 a.m. They're playing Not Like Us. And mind you, like the rest of the playlist, it was just random fucking songs. So
yeah,
I'm like, really, this is what we're doing at 9 a.m. I wasn't mad. Like I thought it was dope to see how international the song has gotten. But to me, it was just, it didn't like match the moment at all. Like I'm over here sipping.
Yeah, because at a cafe, even in the heart of downtown LA, if it was 9 a.m., you're like, bro, like, really? Like, this is what we like, you know what I mean? Like, it's I don't know if you ever had these like these hip hop rules, like when you go to the barber shop before like 11, and it's like, yo, no curse words. Like, no. Have you ever had that before?
No, I haven't heard that.
Bro, so like, I used to go to a barber, again, my dad's old record store was like in the hood in the Bronx. And like, yeah, dude, the owner of the barber shop would not let them play any hip hop before 11 a.m. He's like, bro, we're going to play that shit all night, all afternoon. The first 3 hours of the day, I need calmness. So put on some fucking chill jazz or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Not Like Us is a phenomenal song, bro, but that's also aggressive. So I just think it's like, it's a fucking, whoever is in charge of the music at that restaurant has no idea what the fuck, like the actual, it's like, oh, it's a popular American song. If someone walks in, they'll like it, kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment. And that's also my approach. Like in the mornings, I try my best not to listen to hip hop because I'm like, low key, it's gonna just put me in a kind of mood I'm not ready to be in.
Yeah, that's why I like quietness, bro. Yeah, for sure. Again, if I'm at the gym, different story. But if it's like I need to go walk to the mailbox, right? I just need quiet, or like maybe a podcast, but nothing that I'm gonna be like, all right, what's next? You know, what can I do now? Like, so. But my G, great episode, longer episode than normal. But again, we've had 3 weeks to kind of miss these moments. So good to have you back. Before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find us and what we got going on.
Yes, sir. Catch us at audio-theory.com. New episode every week on all platforms. Also, check out the Heat of the Week selections on Spotify and Apple Music. Links on the website. And if you're on YouTube, check down below. We got merch. We also got the links on the website for everything. So highly recommend you go there. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, comment, share, do what you can to support the channel.
Support the channel. Love you, my dude.
Love you too.
Peace.